This is my 45th video on my work with OO gauge. See part 1 of this series for my reasons for getting into OO gauge when I already had a lot invested in working in N gauge and I didn't really have space available for a large, fully operational OO gauge layout. Also see my lengthy series on my N gauge railway modelling for smaller and more complex scenery and smaller scale trains running. This part is the 19th, dealing with my third layout made using mainly Hornby EZ Track. See the prior video, part 27, for my reasons for wanting to try a Hornby EZ Track layout when I already had an OO gauge layout using Bachmann EZ Track. This part is not so much about the layout really as about an odd little locomotive that I picked up on eBay UK, a Triang 4F, or is it a 3F? Here is the loco on my workbench. It was listed on eBay as a Triang 4F, but I don't believe that Triang ever actually made a 4F under the Triang name. However, this model is identified by its running number as a 4F. 4039 would make it a 4F built at the former Midland Works in Derby for the LMS in 1925. Here's a closer view of the loco. Quite a simple model, heavy too. And here's a close-up of the tender, much lighter and slightly more modern looking than the loco. Here's the bottom of the loco. It is clearly marked Triang R251 built in Britain. The body's plastic, but there's a heavy metal chassis with a very solid looking brass driving gear. There's a piece of some kind of synthetic material screwed onto the bottom of the chassis. There are pickups on the front and back driving wheels, but no pickups and no flanges on the centre set of wheels. The tender's entirely passive with no electrical connection to the loco and little weight, having just a plastic body with no extra weights added. It's not easy to read in this picture, but the bottom of the tender says Hornby Railways R33 built in Britain. So what exactly is this? So far as I know, the Triang 3F R251 was only sold in two liveries, BR Black, numbered 43775 as seen here, and Midland Railways Crimson, numbered 3775 as seen here. Those running numbers would make it a 3F built in 1903 for the Midland Railway, subsequently passing into LMS stock upon amalgamation in 1923, and then into British Railways stock upon nationalisation in 1948. I've honestly always found it hard to tell the difference between 3Fs and 4Fs, and this is not really surprising, as the 4F was very much an incremental improvement upon the 3F design without a great many external changes. The top picture here is a 3F and the bottom a 4F. The most obvious differences are that both the chimney and the dome are somewhat shorter and blunter on the 4F. The 4F also has some sort of apparatus that I can't identify mounted below the boiler between the two front splashers, whereas the 3F just has a gap in that position. Please post in the comments below if you know what that apparatus is. The model does seem to have the characteristic 3F chimney and dome shape, although the tender looks more of the type normally used with 4Fs. Another significant difference between 3Fs and 4Fs is that 3Fs were driven from the right of the cab, whereas 4Fs were driven from the left of the cab. But that is of no significance for this model, which has no cab detail whatsoever. In fact, the back of the electric motor protrudes into the cab, as you can see here and in the other pictures. It appears that after Triang bought Hornby in 1964, Triang 251 locos were sold with Hornby R33 tenders, at least at times, so it may well be that this loco and this tender were originally sold together, probably sometime in the 1960s. I'm not sure, but I think someone has probably taken a model in BR Black livery and renumbered and remarked it to make it an LMS 4F. I have other more recent locos of these types, more recent models, a fairly recent Bachmann 3F, an old Airfix 4F, they're very common, you find them around a lot, and a Hornby 4F based in fact on the Airfix 4F tooling, but with an updated mechanism. The Airfix 4F was tender driven, whereas Hornby made it loco driven. The motor in this loco ran okay from when I first got it. The mechanism seemed quite functional apart from being rather over-lubricated. Given the age of the model, it's likely that the motor has been at least remagnetized at some point. Despite the motor running okay and the wheels being driven okay, the engine had a lot of trouble running on my layouts, making a lot of noise and essentially being incapable of negotiating the points, derailing or getting stuck almost every time it tried to run over a set of points. I thought that this was likely due to the large wheel flanges, and they are very large indeed on the loco, though not on the tender. I mentioned this to Nigel with British Model Trains, and he suggested that I should bring the loco for him to have a look at. He said that problems these old models have with the points on modern track are more commonly because of the gauging, and indeed when we checked the back-to-back gauging on this model it was less than 13.7 millimeters, rather than the 14.4 millimeters it should have been. Nigel pried the flange driving wheels out of it and managed to get the gauging at least somewhere close to correct, and indeed this did enable the loco to get over points, even though it still tends to wobble a bit and to make a lot of noise as it runs over the track. Now let's just see a little video of attempted running with this loco on my Hornby EZ Track layout, which is still a work in progress.
Okay, so let's see if we can do a little running video of this. Triang was a 3F, sort of got converted into a 4F. Last time I used the head cam, nobody complained about it, and a couple of people said they actually liked it, so I'm using the head cam again. I know it moves around quite a bit, so it can be a bit inducing of motion sickness, but okay, so there you go, there he is. So let's try and get it moving round here. Now, it has really, really big wheel flanges, so, you know, it's kind of hitting the sleepers as it goes along, and of course if there's any little bits of ballast, they're really getting in the way. It does, famous last words, but yeah, it does basically get over the points. Now, before Nigel redid the gauging, it wouldn't get over the points. It would basically get stuck or derail at the points, but now we can just about get over the points. So it will run, although it's kind of noisy because its flanges are really bashing things as it goes along. Okay, so let's see if we can couple it to a train, famous last words, but we'll try. We got a little goods train here. We got a little... went over the points too slowly there and didn't quite get over. I'm trying to... Well, see, I don't want to go into the train too fast, that's the problem. I'm going to join it. Oh, for goodness sake, I'm derailing the wagons all over the place. No, that's still not on the rails. I think that's on the rails now. Okay, let's see if it'll pull that train. Famous last words. No, it won't, because it's sitting on the points and it's not getting any power. It doesn't have pickup spread over a very large area, so it struggles a bit on insular frog points. And we'll try and change the point here so he doesn't derail when he gets back to the point. Yeah, I mean, it's got no tender pickups, so you have to go over insular frog points with a little bit of momentum to keep it going over them. It's fine when it's running along regular track, but it struggles with those points. So when I got it originally, when I first got it from eBay, it wouldn't go over those points at all, because the gauging was just so narrow, it was getting stuck or derailing on every point. But it sort of goes now, and I mean, you got to remember also, this is like a 50, 60-year-old model, something like. I wonder how many of today's shiny new models will still be going like this in 50, 60 years. It really does not like those points, though, does it? There might be a bit of dirt there as well, but it doesn't take much of a push to get it going, but Let's see if I can just clean that point one more time. I don't know whether that will make any difference at all, but you never know. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be dirt, it may just be... Whoa! I think the tender's derailed now, oddly enough. It's not usually the tender that derails, it's usually the loco that derails, but we're derailing merrily. Ooh. Oh, I've not got much power on now. Got to give it more power. I didn't see how, somehow or other, the tender and the first wagon got derailed, but I was looking at other things and I didn't really notice how. Yeah, it still wobbles a bit going over those points, even with the gauging changed. Still, I'm happy to have it. It's a bit of history in itself. A strangely reconstructed version of a Dock 6. I wonder if I can succeed in, putting the train back into the siding. Not terribly optimistic about that, but we can try. It really, every time it gets to that point, it stops, doesn't it? Now it's stopping on the next one. Yeah, it's basically, when I'm trying to take it slowly, it's stopping on every point, basically. Whoa! Not so good. Well, that was the classic error there. I turned it up when I meant to turn it down. But still. And can we uncouple it? Well, we could if it would go. It really does not like going on those points. It really does not. It may actually, you know, I don't think so. It just needs more power to get over those points. Yeah, it really struggles a bit to get over those points, but at least it gets over them now if you push it a bit. That's about it then, I guess. I'll remove the uncoupler there.